Good morning, I'm Kristen Folletti and welcome to News Desk on SiliconANGLE TV for Wednesday, March 6th, 2013. Should you throw out your Xbox and PlayStation and get a Steam box this Christmas? Here to provide his breaking analysis on Valve's upcoming console is SiliconANGLE founding editor Mark Risen-Hopkins. Good morning, Mark. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Valve originally started out as a video game developer and eventually moved into publishing. Valve's online PC game store, Steam, has already proven popular, and analysts suggest that the console Steam box could have a big impact. So, Mark, given Valve's prior success, do you think they have the momentum to make a console and start competing with companies like Sony and Microsoft?
I think that they have the momentum to make a console. And depending on what your definition of competing with Microsoft and Sony is, I think that part's the part of the equation that's in question. Sony and Microsoft have what can only be described as a heroic lead in the console market compared to any third-party console manufacturer. So it's going to be, it doesn't matter how much momentum Steam has going into this. It's going to be a very, very large uphill battle. Even if Microsoft, take Microsoft out of the equation, and Sony in its even weakened position, given the events of the last couple of years with the erosion of their American user base, they still have a massively dominant market position, and any new entrant to the market is going to have an uphill battle to try to compete with that.
With the next-gen Xbox and PS4 coming out this year, Sony and Microsoft will be pushing exclusive game titles to capture as many users as possible. Do you think Valve is going to have any exclusive game titles to help them launch their new console?
And I kind of think they have to. The question is, I don't know which titles that Valve would be willing to give up. These flagship titles that they have to give up to put exclusively on a console that would severely limit the buying of said titles, because no matter how successful Valve is in its first year with the Steam box, it's not going to be a runaway hit. It's not going to eclipse the amount of units that are already in place with like an Xbox or something like that. Like I say, Portal comes out as Portal 3 comes out as an exclusive Steambox title. I mean, they're guaranteed to sell less titles than Portal 2, or move less units than Portal 2, if it's exclusive. So the only other option then would be to come up with some franchise or a spin-off of a franchise that no one's heard of or less people know about, and then you sort of lose a little bit of the value of kind of going exclusive release. So yeah. I don't know. Is like the long way of saying answering your question there. They're probably going to have something exclusive, but it's not clear to me what the best strategy for them would be.
Mm-hmm. So far, we haven't got a good look at the Steam box, but reports from Valve CEO Gabe Newell indicate we could see a prototype as early as June. Mark, with Sony already creating hype about their device, the PS4 coming out, why do you think Valve has been so quiet about their new console?
So there's an old saying in sales and customer service is under promise and over deliver, and I think they must be thinking about this saying when they're trying to figure out the best way to hype this going forward. Everyone is going to be looking for them to fail, honestly, because like I said, Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, these systems have entrenched positions, decades of experience, and just a lot of R&D in this space, a lot of customer feedback cycles in this space that the Steam box can't possibly compete with. And so they're trying to make sure all their I's and T's are dotted and crossed, and come out with the best product possible in the limited amount of time. But I mean, if anybody that follows like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and any of these other kind of crowdfunding sites knows that people that get into the hardware business for the first time, 100% of the time, experience difficulties in creating and shipping a product that they're just unforeseen to anybody that it wasn't already in the business. So doing software and doing hardware are two completely different animals, and I'm sure they're not fully prepared for all the speed bumps they're going to hit.
Do you think there are any advantages for Valve being the new kid on the block?
Oh yeah, I mean, you can't be worse than the last generation of console because they had no last generation console, so there's no elevated user expectations here. Basically the mark they have to hit is they've got to be better than the software is on the PC. That's the only thing. The user experience has to be at least as good as the software experience on the PC, and that should be pretty doable.
Generally speaking, Valve has always been a PC gaming company. Do you think this experience with PC gaming is going to help them or hurt them when transitioning into the console market?
Well, I mean, they do. There's many of their games have been adapted for the console, and so I think starting out as a PC gamer, PC gaming company is going to give them perhaps a unique perspective, a unique market to try to corner in the console market. The idea they have some experience in the console world, at least from a software perspective, will provide them a little bit more of a leg up than, say, like the NVIDIA console, which these guys really have zero experience marketing to console users at all. So they're going to have a little bit more of an inkling of what's right and what's wrong and where the sensibilities lie, at least for the American audience. But beyond that, I think if they're, and I don't know their company, their company ethos too well, intrinsically well, so I can't speak with absolute authority. But depending on how entrenched the PC mindset is within the company culture, could influence the success and failure of this box moving forward. They could be too stuck in a mindset that they're trying to make a system that appeals to PC gamers. That's not the same group of people that use a console in the living room, so that could be a problem.
We've discussed on the program before the fact that next generation consoles, many of them are starting to incorporate set-top box-like features like Netflix and other tie-ins. How do you think the Steam box will compete with Sony and Microsoft's all-encompassing home entertainment devices?
They're probably going to be not as good out the gate. I mean, just for sheer lack of experience. Now, that having been said, they're probably going to have almost all the same partnerships in terms of media, unless they decide to go with a strictly focused approach to console gaming, which I haven't seen any indications that that's going to be the case. But assuming they're going to do the wise thing and include some sort of media streaming software and packages built in the system, all these companies that have dealt partnerships with Sony and Microsoft have shown themselves to be more than willing to go to every device that's out there. So you're talking Netflix, or you're talking Hulu, even ESPN, the ESPN video apps for the consoles, and some of the lesser known like MLB and NFL are going to be working up their own apps, and all these different little, there's like probably about 2-3 dozen apps on the Sony and the Microsoft devices now that are independent content networks, and they've all been they're everywhere. So if Steam Box is going to have these types of apps on it, then they're going to have probably as much content as any of the other ones, any other major consoles.
Mark, we know you're a big fan of Portal, Valve's award-winning puzzle game.
Yes.
Do you think being a fan of one of Valve's games would motivate you enough to buy a Steam box over, say, an Xbox or a PS4? Or is there really room or enough demand for another console in the market?
There's always room for it. I mean, there's always, it's like I would never count out any third-party player in the console market, because it's a little bit like the search market. It's such a huge market worldwide. In search, especially, where you can have 1% of the business and you have $1 billion company. So, I mean, it's not quite that big for consoles, but still, it's comparable analogy. So, I would never count out any third-party player, and I think competition is healthy. And I think the big guys will tell you that as well. Competition in any market is healthy, keeps you sharp, keeps you on the edge of, developing new features for your users, keeping them happy. Having said that, it's going to be a tough road to hoe, and I don't know that being a fan of a game from a company is going to make you want to buy their console. You can look at Origin and EA for that. I was a fan of Origin back when it was a studio that made games like Wing Commander and Ultima, and now it's a DRM arm of EA's company, and they really don't have a good name in the industry. I tell you, if EA today came out with a console named after their DRM service, which is basically what we're seeing here with the Steam box, people would probably riot in the streets. They would not buy it. So it's not a guarantee that just because Valve has some popular games that this thing's going to move.
Well, Mark, thanks for your insight this morning. It's been a really fun conversation. Great to see you again.
Thank you.
And coming up, all your tech headlines are in one place with your SiliconANGLE Daily News Roundup, next on News Desk.